Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Being School podcast. I am Erik Hardy, and I'm here in this very first episode to talk to you a little bit about what to expect out of this podcast, why I'm starting a podcast now, and what you can learn, take away, and how this will help you grow and develop and become the person that you want to be. So, why a podcast now? Well, I have a very simple belief that we are all powerful creators of our life. That's kind of our purpose of being here, is to create the life that we want to have, that we want to live, and then share that creation with others. So this podcast is really an exploration for me of talking to others and exploring and understanding how they created their life, and they're actively creating and engaging in their life, to hear their stories, to see how they've kind of moved through the world, and then to be able to share that with you. I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of very fascinating and interesting people and have great conversations. And I am intensely, insanely curious. I want to learn about people. I want to learn about how the world works. I want to learn about experiences. And that curiosity is really driving me to move into this space of podcasting so that I can share those encounters not only with people, but also kind of what I'm experiencing in my own life with you, with the hope that you can then take that and see how it can fit into your life and see places in your life where you may want to change, move, and just get a different example of what's possible in the world and use that to create the life that you want to live. So what I'm hoping for out of this podcast, again, it's just starting. It's going to morph, it's going to grow, it's going to change. I'm excited that you are here with me on the kind of ground floor of that. I want to be very open and honest and kind of show you that whole process and watch the growth and see how things change over time. So I have a bit of a vision for how this podcast starts, but I'm also not naive enough to think I'm going to know where this podcast is going to be in 100 episodes, or if it even makes it to 100 episodes. That's my hope. But in the immortal words of Boyd Vardy, who I'm a big fan of, his thing is always just take the next first step. And so for me, right now, the next first step is recording this episode, getting it out with you to share with you this journey of podcasting. So with that, what can you expect out of this podcast? We're going to cover lots of different topics, and really it goes back to that theme of creation, understanding what it means to create your life. And so to explore that, I'm going to have conversations with folks I find interesting that I've met through my own life and hopefully will continue to meet and grow into with this podcast. So we'll have conversations about how they shaped their life, kind of the milestones that they hit, the forks in the road that they took, and then hopefully you can apply some of that to your own life and see where you can move, shift things around, and just learn and grow and get a different perspective. So we're going to have interesting conversations with interesting people. That's the number one thing. Another thing which I haven't done much of is I published this book, The Being Equation, and it came out November 4th of 2021, and I haven't really talked about or explored that much in the public sphere. And this podcast is not going to be focused on exploring that as per se, but that idea, the being equation, and the underlying principles in that book really do form the foundation of how I see the world and how I move through the world. And so I'm excited to have an opportunity to, talk about that a little bit more in the context of other folks and how they kind of have moved through the world and how the equation may fit into their life. So everything that I believe is underpinned by that being equation. And so this will be a way for me to explore and grow with that and kind of see where that goes. People think you publish a book and then it's just out there, and that's true. A book in its written form is very static, but the principles and the ideas in those continue to develop as we explore the world and as I have new experiences. So that book is constantly changing in my mind in terms of it's a dynamic, living, breathing thing. So through these conversations, they'll also influence that and influence how I see the world. Coming back to kind of on a little bit of a selfish level, it's a way for me to get to talk to just amazing people and to share those stories and to learn more from them. So I'm scratching my own itch, I'm scratching my own curiosity, and I'm having that experience. So how will this podcast, so I've talked a bit about why it's important to me, but the other thing is, how will this podcast be beneficial to you? Well, I truly believe by you hearing these stories, you're going to be able to pull out things and apply them to your own life. So through these conversations that you're listening to or watching on YouTube, you will be able to pick up nuggets, pieces, and it'll start to kind of shape and maybe shift the way you see the world and kind of what you want to create as your life and the way you think about life moving forward. So that will be a big takeaway from you, and hopefully you'll really gain valuable insights from each of these conversations. And hopefully along the way, we'll have a good time, have a few laughs. You'll get to see me hopefully become better at this podcasting game. I mean, that's the goal, but I'm just excited that you're here on the journey. So with that, welcome to the Being School podcast. We're going to continue to develop not only content in this form, but things will grow and develop on the Being School website, which I'll talk about more in a later episode. What you can do for me, I know this is an inaugural episode, but if you wouldn't mind, if you could like it, follow it on the different platforms, say YouTube, if you're watching this in video, check out Instagram, you can see it there, but on Spotify and iTunes, both of those places we're going to host a podcast. So if you can like it, subscribe, leave a review, it would greatly appreciate that. Really excited. I've already recorded the first episode. That's with my friend Ali Jafarin. And Ali is a fascinating guy. He is a former tech entrepreneur who now focuses on coaching and mentorship and hosts his own podcast called Creating Space. And in his podcast, he explores personal development, leadership, spirituality, and features conversations with a wide range of guests. Now, why I'm so excited to have Ali on is because Ali started his podcast about 1.5 years ago. I trust and respect his opinion, and I brought him on to kind of talk about what I should be thinking about as I embark on this podcast journey. I'm excited to share that with you. We have that one already recorded. That'll be coming out shortly. So thank you again for being here. Remember, like and subscribe on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. And I am excited to go on this journey with you. Here we go.